Okay, we are finally here, but it was worth the wait because us women are worth the wait. Good evening, everybody, in the Shenanigans chat room. It is already. Are we? Wait, oh my God, CB, you're lucky. I like you, buddy. You're so lucky. So RC, remind me to tell you who RC is. We don't say that name out loud because we're not trying to be that kind of an asshole. But I will tell you, I've told you a little bit about it. I will get you up to speed. But welcome to Shenanigans. It's God, what night is it? It's Thursday. Today's Thursday.
It's
Thursday.
Thursday.
It's Thursday, and so it's October 3rd. We're later than normal, so thank you. What do you mean sound? There's no sound? Run for justice? What does that mean? I hope you guys can hear us, right? We're hearable. God, tell me we're hearable. Hold on a second. Now I'm worried. Okay, Debbie can hear us. Somebody can hear us. Okay. Hey, sis. Where was I? Okay, so it's Thursday. We are an hour later than normal, which we don't really have a normal yet. We're trying to figure that out. And so here we are tonight. And just to go over some of the quick ground rules, because I know there's some new folks in here. We have some some Shenanigans veterans to go with the Shenanigans crew. But I'm Tara, and I instigated this whole channel through a lot of bullying from Carrie, who hopefully will be joining us later. And this idea came about when Amber and Katie and Kathy and we do some traveling together, and we have these really rich, deep, awesome conversations. They're very open, they're very raw, and we are able to speak in a fashion with one another where we just don't hurt each other's feelings. We can say somebody's being stupid about something, and we have a really open conversation about it. And that gave me the idea that a lot more people need to have that space. And so that's where Shenanigans came from. It was originally called the Tara Talks because of a talk that I do at work. And I didn't feel good about that. I know that I've got a couple of friends that thought it was a really great idea because they work with me, but they didn't know the Shenanigans crew. So I brought it back to the Shenanigans crew. They're like, oh, yeah, that's cute, but no. And so when I offered Shenanigans and emphasis on the she part, because the audience was focusing on women, but it turns out, as I've been told by several guys, they enjoyed the conversation too. They get something out of it. And so you have Shenanigans. Carrie is a part of this as well because she is the one who really pushed for me to put this channel together, and she's been giving me a lot of guidance and understanding how the channel works. So I'm really happy that we have the group that we do. We're very open, we're very different, unique, but we're a lot of fun. As for the playground rules, just be yourself. Don't hold back. But if you are the kind of person that most would think is a jerk, please lead with that. Just let us know you're a jerk so we know that it's not us, it's you. That's what we want to know. But we're going to have some uncomfortable conversations on this channel. We have so far. Last week was really uncomfortable. It didn't do the views were not as good as the week before that because it was a really hard conversation to have. And, it had a couple of religious angles, and I got some very interesting messages that were enlightening following the show. And so a lot of uncomfortable things are going to be talked about. So if it ever gets to be too much, if the warm fuzzies leave you and you get a little too oogie feeling, just step out, come back later, or catch the next one. No worries at all. Be prepared to be offended if you're the easily offended type. Just know that no one's trying to offend you or attack you. These are just very open conversations. At some point in time, I will do the open forum in the Wichita area. I did one. I used to do one once a month. And it was doing okay, but I've been asked to go back to those in addition to this channel, so we will get there. But other than that, Amber's with us. This is our Barbie.
Hello.
Amber and I have known each other for nearly 20 years, and we've got kids that have grown up together. And so she and I've had we should not be enemies. We've decided because we have too much dirt on the other one. So if one of us goes down, the other one's going down with her. So
that is true.
That will be it. So tonight's just CB, I'm not putting your name on anything. CB is, and so CB is a little bit of a show starter. And if Cash is in the group, guys, if you see Cash in the chat, just know he's not a troll. He's just an asshole. That's it. And that's okay. We like those people too. They can make us think. So, and while we're on the subject of thinking, tonight's conversation is going to be about how genealogy and the commercial DNA industry may be helping families and may be hurting families. So maybe making or breaking family ties. And I've seen some things out there already. Excuse me, my allergies and I are not getting along. I've seen some things out there already in the some chats and private messages. People have experience with this. I have firsthand experiences with this. I think my I've got a couple of family members that are in the that are watching tonight that are going to be watching later on. I know I can talk about one of those. I don't think I can talk about the other one. I know you're listening. If you don't want me to talk about that side of the family fine branch thing, just text me and let me know. You don't have to come into the chat and say something, but I'll kind of kick this off in saying that on earlier this week, I received I received a message from somebody asking me if I would help them find a person. And it was in regards to a legal situation, but it was not bad. And so all I had to work with was mom and dad's name and their birth dates, then the cities that they were respectively born in, and then their daughter's name and her date of birth and the city she was born in. All this information, the daughter was born in 1962. And the last time that this father saw his daughter was in 1963 when she was a year old and the parents split. And so for that reason, there was a need for that link to be identified again, to be reconnected. And so that's all I had to work with. And I thought, all right, I'll give it a try. I mean, I've done some genealogy research and I have some tools. And in about 24, 48 hours, we found her. Now, when I gave this person the information and I was realizing the family history, it looked like that the daughter had been adopted by her stepdad at a young age. She had 3 other siblings between mom and stepdad, what she would know as her father. And, I told this individual, there's a good chance that when you contact this woman, she is not going to be aware that she has a bio dad and an adoptive father. There may be a really hard conversation to have. And so, I guess I don't know if that was the first time that hit that person, that this could be a hard situation or not, but he did reach the person who asked me to find her. He did reach out to her and they had a very good conversation. He said they talked for an hour and she was happy to have been found. Of course, the situation, the reason that we had to find her is there had been a death in the family and she was needed. Her attention was needed to that matter. But she was happy. And so I was like, well, that's cool. It's a happy ending. We didn't have to use any DNA research or, I used some Ancestry.com and 23andMe stuff for research purposes, but I didn't have any DNA to go off of. Now, so I'm trying to read comments, and Amber, you're going to have to manage comments. And he should have made you Katie's trying to get in. Crap. Moody. Okay. Yep. You were supposed to be watching that. I am so far behind.
I can't see. I can't let them in.
You can't let them in. But I was wanting you to tell me when they were there because I wouldn't be paying attention.
Katie, I didn't want to interrupt your story. I was waiting for just a little moment.
Carrie is by moonlight.
Hey, Carrie.
Hi. Sorry.
Fashionably late again.
Sorry. I thought
you're good. No apologies. No apologies. You're totally fine. Katie, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, she's
there. She is.
Yes. Oh. I had Jess was talking. Katie, is your camera on? Are you outside walking again? What are you doing?
No, I wish I was. Well, I'll talk about that later. I wish I was outside walking, but no, I had to join like I did last time because I'm just on my laptop like I was the last time.
Okay.
And it's a piece of shit. So if I miss some of the stuff, it's because it's a piece of shit.
Well, that's okay. We will make it work one way or another. But we're glad you're here. Wish we could see your pretty face, though. That would be awesome. She's like, whatever. No, we can't see you. Is your camera thingy on? You can see her?
Yes.
She's right there.
I can't see her.
I can see all of you and myself.
I cannot see her. God dang it. I'm not refreshing my screen. I'm not doing it. I'll just have to have a black screen where Katie's at. Hopefully she'll come in later. Let me check a setting real quick. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, my computer really sucks.
Yeah, it does because it won't let me see you. I'm like, what the hell? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was just telling everybody that this whole thing, I'm actually going to refresh my screen on this other side to see if I can see her on my I can
All
see her
four
over
of us,
here.
CV.
Oh my god! All four of us. What? I see all four of you. Which
No.
all four of us are
You
over
said
30.
which
Yes.
one of you four are over 35?
I think.
All of us.
Yeah, we're all over. Well, Katie might not even be. I think Katie's younger than I am. I think.
Excuse me, how old are you? I'll say my age.
I'm 45.
I'm 46.
I'm the baby. Oh, I'm the baby of the group.
You
Fab.
are the baby.
I am the baby. Yeah, bullshit. I am.
Bullshit.
I'm 45. I was born in 79, and Amber can attest to it. She has seen my license, and she knows. Amber can attest. I'm 45.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
I'm
24.
48.
Yep. Is
Yep.
Carrie going to go on that branch with us? Is she gonna...
Hey, we're open here, Carrie.
I just had my 50th birthday in August.
Yay!
But I still think I'm like 30.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm 21 somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So I was just telling the story about how this subject came to be from me finding that gal for that friend that reached out on Monday to where the personal side of things, and I don't know, I need to check my text to make sure I'm allowed to say or not say. Yes. That's to you just text me, my family member, because I'm trying to be coy and cryptic. That's explain the last set. Oh, okay. No, clarify that text for me just a little bit more, just in case, because I can't read and yeah, that's okay. Just clarify that a little bit more. Anyway, so I don't know which of my family members are watching. I'm hoping my uncle is, because he can attest to this. We had a happy ending on our side too. As it turns out, my mother was the product of an affair, and that was back in the 50s. And so she didn't know about it until sometime in her childhood, I think. I don't know the whole dynamics there. Now, I had always known that the man I called grandpa was not my biological grandpa. At least that had been the family water cooler story. And so I started getting into genealogy, and I wasn't looking for anybody. I was just enjoying building a family tree. And I did a test through, I think, 23andMe first and then Ancestry.com. And this other family tree showed up and had this one connecting branch. I'm like, okay, so the stories are true. Cool. And so I trying to figure out who this family was, how they were related. Because the one thing we were missing was my mom's bio dad's name. We didn't actually know it until later on. I'm muting myself by accident. And so we find the name, and that was all the further I went with that. The genealogy research actually got started because of my maiden name being Blood, and there's somebody who wrote a book on my blood family that's captured the history from the time that the Bloods came into the U.S. in the 1600s up until the 1960s. And so I was going to try to pick up that trail in a way. Well, then, doing the genealogy research, somebody else does a DNA test, and I think that was how my uncle found me. He did a DNA test, says, hey, it shows we're related. Who are you? And I was like, I'm Tara. Who are you? We tried to connect some dots. Actually, his daughter contacted me first, and then he contacted me. So originally, I thought it was a scam, like mother or father and daughter coming after me. Like the next thing I know, they're going to want money, or they're Nigerian princes, right? Like I was expecting the worst. And then we started connecting some dots that we had both lived in the same town, just at different times. And we both knew some of the same people. And then I realized, oh my gosh, there is, this person's probably related through my mom's bio dad. And it come to find out he's her half brother through their dad, the guy that the actual bio dad. And so that was kind of like, oh, okay. We didn't even think about that, if we didn't think about there being others besides my mom out there. So it was kind of like, okay, cool. We took some time to absorb, and eventually, we've developed a relationship. We're going to meet this fall. So it's been a very, very happy thing for us. Not everybody in the family has been as open about it, but I'm a little different breed when it comes to the family stuff. So there's that kind of thing that worked out in our favor, but there's people out there, right, that are getting calls from strangers saying, I'm your brother, I'm your sister. I'm your mom. And so it makes me wonder how many stories are out there. In fact, I think the very top of the chat, who started to say something? It was Maxine at the very top of the chat who said that we adopted my daughter, but her bio mom kept her pregnancy a secret from her other children. I got my daughter a 23andMe kit one year, and my daughter showed up in her sister's info. And she says you can run, but you can't hide. True. So what do you guys think? Like, would you want to know? That's the first thing. I know my uncle wanted to know. He wanted to find out. So he has been writing letters and connecting with family to let them know that he's there. And if they accept him, great. If not, he moves on. But what do you guys think? Would you want to know? Do you have any relatability to this?
So I haven't done one of the kits yet myself. I want to. I really do. Because I have kind of a weird family tree that Tara. I mean, like I know my mom. I know nobody else. So I've always kind of wanted to know, just to kind of see how many people out there I might be related to, not necessarily like looking to even reconnect with people, because these are going to be people that I don't even know. It would be nice to maybe know a little bit more about like health history and that sort of thing. But I don't know. I also kind of have that feeling of maybe it's better to just not know what's out there. So I don't know. I'm still very torn on whether or not I want to do it. So
Carrie and Katie, what do you guys think?
I personally would want to know.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
I want to know, and whether or not something comes out of that, whether I don't know, reconnecting relationships or just knowing is one thing, but I can't leave well enough alone. Like I would just want to know, and
right.
I think for me, I just couldn't get past it if I didn't know. So I would just want to find out.
I mean, I know I have siblings out there.
You have half siblings?
Mm-hmm. Several.
I hope you haven't dated any of them.
I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing. I think, like Katie, I want to know. It's a small damn world, and people get pregnant by accident. Like I'd want to know, but I have very different reasons for wanting to know. Carrie, what about you? I know you've talked about it with me a little bit. No, she's like, no, leave me alone.
No, I don't want coming out of the woodwork saying, "Hey, big sis." No, I don't want none of that. No, stay away. I'm good. I've made it 50 years with the family I have. No. And I think I talked to you about that too. Like, I feel like, especially in the adulthood, it could definitely cause a lot of upheaval in somebody's life. That's probably my biggest concern with that. But personally, no, I wouldn't. I don't want to put my DNA out in the atmosphere. I don't want nothing to do with
it. You can't find me. And I think for me, it's not about connections and belonging or anything like that. It's general curiosity. Like, how did we end up here? It's like finding that path. Like when you look at Ancestry.com, they'll show you through, your relationships and your heritage, how, people of your past moved from the East Coast when they came into the U.S. all the way to the Midwest and things like that. And I find that fascinating. I mean, I've learned some things that I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's that's interesting. And I think, and I know there's some parts of the family that do not want to know. There's too much fear of the upheaval, what some family members will think and do. And it is hard. I don't know, but I'd want to know. I do want to know.
So I like
I do.
Ancestry thing. We've done that in my family and gone way, way, way back. So I like that part. I like the history and learning about, but like I met some half siblings that I'd never met in my life at my real dad's funeral, who I'd never met in my life. And they were a weird bunch. I'm just saying they were weird. So don't hit me up.
Don't stay away.
Stay
Well,
away.
okay, so here's the bigger question, right? Let's say in this particular example, there was a will involved, and the whole point of finding this person was because of the will. Does that change things?
If you
Which is a
have
weird
money,
question.
they'll send it
Are they a
over.
billionaire?
Right.
But see how that changes the
and no.
upheaval? But that changes that dynamic, does it? You're like, if you're, I don't need family, I don't need any more friendly family, I don't need any more, like in my particular case, and Robin can attest this, we don't need any more family dynamics. I don't think anybody does. But I'm like, I could put a value against that though. Like I could put a monetary amount to put up with some bullshit for a while.
Okay, what would it be then? You put it
I
out
don't,
there.
I don't know. I gotta hear a number first to see how enticing it is. Like, and what financial position am I in? So it's a prairie sage. Now you're talking a whole different scenario. Well, I think that's the case too. Like, how often do you hear from a right? How often do you hear from a family member that says, "Hey, by the way, you know, your long lost cousin from Timbuktu passed away because you're the fourth one in the lineup, and that's your lucky. It's just your lucky day." Like how, and that doesn't happen very often. I wouldn't think, so it's not out there. It's not sexy enough news, but I don't know. I'm kind of heck, Robin. Heck, no more drama. Exactly. Robin is my cousin / sister person, and yeah, we don't need any more drama. So I don't know.
Did you see CB's comment? That's why I go to family reunions, is to meet women.
Yeah, I did. That was hilarious.
That doesn't surprise me with him. Not a bit.
Oh, but then he says he has a whole new family in the Panhandle, and they all call me Daddy.
Oh,
God!
I think this conversation is changing.
That little ray of sunshine is becoming quite the little sunny ray of storm clouds raining upon us. Oh my gosh! So that's I find that to be really interesting. But I know there's stories out there, right? I think there is one story I had heard. It was one of the true crime ones, Carrie, that I was listening to. That the mother had a child and gave the child up, and the child shows up at a doorstep in this one area. I can't remember what part of the country it was. And then another child shows up a couple years later, like in a trash bin, or another one shows up. Like their 3 babies showed up over the course of 6 years, and all of them came from the same person, right? They were all related. And as it turns out, the first baby was found by a woman, and she turned it over to police. It was actually her own kid. And through genealogy, that's how they traced back to this woman and found out that she was the one that was listed in newspapers being the hero and finding this baby and being kind enough to pick the baby up and love on it until the cops got there, type of thing. And they've had to work through some issues because it's like, oh, you abandoned us in random places. Like there's so many different stories out there. Yeah. Like and I had to hear Katie's perspective on that because she's got such a very passionate way of looking at that kind of thing. And I would be very interested in what Katie says.
Well,
she's like, there's a reason why I was quiet.
I still take my stance. Like, I would want to know either way, like if I'm the one being sought after or if I'm the one seeking someone. But it does invite a lot of drama into your. Maybe you don't know. Maybe there will be no drama, but you just don't know. And whatever it is, drama or not, it's just extra. It's extra stuff on your plate, right? Like extra that but I do have to say, I mean, like my aunt, she has 4 kids. 3 of them are adopted from different areas. 2 of them are international. 1 is within the United States. And at some point in each of their lives, they knew that they were adopted, and they pretty much left it up to them as if they wanted to. Each story was different, but like seek out family. And I think each had their own story as far as whether they want to do that or not. And it can disrupt the family dynamic. I mean, a little bit, right? I still feel like, me personally, everyone has their own, and I say this, and then somebody's knocking on my door saying, I'm your long lost cousin, whatever, or sister you didn't know about, or whatever. I don't know. I say this now. I may change my tune. But
well, and I guess so. I'm in a position where I've got a couple of siblings. Like I have a sister, and keep in mind, Robin is. I see Robin in the chat. Robin DeFord is in the chat. I see her as my big sister, right? We have a lot of parallels in our lives. We're very close like that. I do have a biological sister, and she's younger than I am. We're not close. We haven't talked in almost 2 years now. And so I'm almost like somebody comes up and says, I'm your long lost sister. I'm like, are you a good witch or are you a bad witch? Like, that would be one of those things.
Exactly.
I can see that, because there'd be a lot of emotions mixed in with, oh my God, because if you're from a disruptive family and you get somebody comes in, like, I'll put this out there. When I found out I was adopted, I was like, oh, this is awesome. My dad's like, can it? We're both your parents. It's a strange situation. I'm like, come again. Like, I was happy for a moment that some of my situation was about to take a potentially different turn. Like, because I don't have a good relationship with my mother either, and we never have. And so when I found out I was adopted, I'm like, oh, but it's by both of you? Crap. That didn't work out for me.
I think if I was adopted, that would be a whole different story. So I'm coming from like an average normal family kind of thing. But if I knew I was adopted or something, that would be a whole different story. I would absolutely want to know.
So that's a different angle, right? When the adoption comes up, because I would want to know. I mean, when I thought I was adopted by other people, and I've got a crazy story about why I have adoption papers, but I was raised by both my biological parents. It's stupid. It's dumb. But for that, in that instant, for those few moments that I thought I had a different parent in the mix, I wanted to know right away. I'm like, who are you? Are you good witch or a bad witch? Like, how can we make this situation work? Because I feel like I can benefit. But it was for me being selfish. I wanted a better relationship with a parent that I didn't have.
I don't think selfish is the word. I don't think you should use selfish as the word. I mean, I think it's just, I think I shouldn't say every. I mean, you want to know your history. You want to know. That's not selfish. I don't think that, you want to know everything that is behind the scenes, the story, who did, like, you just want to know all of it. Whether you find out it's good or bad, you've just got to roll with it. But
yeah, I know. I guess it felt selfish just because of what I've been through, and having that desire to have a relationship with a parent that was accepting, or made me feel like I understood the acceptance they were trying to extend. I guess I should put it that way. So, but I don't know what their life was like, and it didn't even dawn on me to consider if I did have some other adoptive parent out there, it didn't even dawn on me to consider, do they want to know that I'm out there? Because that's a two-way street, I would imagine. If there's an adoption situation, just both people have to want to know. Because I know there's a lot of stories out there where there's a little bit of rejection, but a lot of, oh my God, I've been looking for you all my life type of thing. So,
well, that's the thing. I think you have to go into it. And again, I'm not adopted, but I have that in my family. And I just think you have to come from a place of you're willing to accept either or, because it could be total rejection and it could really break your heart, or it could be on the flip side and totally positive and just, enlarge your heart. So it's difficult.
It is difficult. It's such a, I don't know. It's a crazy thing. I know for my uncle, he wanted to know who his dad was. the whole family, his paternity was always in question growing up, and everybody's like, well, it's this guy, no, it's that guy. So it was I don't want to say it's an open conversation, but there was conversations that took place, and that's what all he ever wanted to know is his dad's name, and I had it. That was the thing that really brought us together. Is I knew who his dad was, and we were able to prove that. So to him, I had the key to everything, which felt really good to have that key, and at the same time was like, oh, whoa, this was all real. That it sounds one way when you're just talking about it, and then it comes to life. You're like, okay. And now there's still some situations in the family that need to be unwoven, but we'll get there. There's still a few spider webs in the family tree that need to be reviewed a little closely.
Oh shit, I think spider webs are like in every family tree.
Oh my gosh.
Spin it out and like, it keeps on going, and who knows where it ends up.
It does. Oh my gosh.
I do think it has something you really, really need to think long and hard about, especially like in a situation of adoptions, maybe. Because I've seen both sides where it's a wonderful, amazing kind of reunion, and the other side where you have higher expectations from maybe somebody that birthed you, and then you know 35 years later, you finally get to meet the person you've wanted to meet your whole life, and the letdown is a real struggle.
Yeah, what would that be like?
Yeah.
You guys imagine the disappointment, the letdown.
And how much hurt would follow that, even at the I'm just coming from a place I'm not adopted, so I don't understand or know. But even if it's like a good reunion type thing, does hurt from the younger years eventually start expressing itself after the honeymoon wears off, kind of thing?
I would imagine so for me. I mean, if it's a good reunion, then the person, say the child, or, they're going to have, like, if it were me, so many questions and wanting to know this, and that. And you may not really care. I mean, if you open the box, you're going to have to be willing to hear what comes out of it.
Yes, good. That's, yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that, Katie. You got to be ready for both sides.
Is the possible risk worth it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Decision, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you, anyone, you got to weigh that. And if you feel like you're on the fence, or you're questioning whether or not you should do it, or whatever, every situation is completely different. But, just, I guess I'm not giving any, but if it were me and I really had all of that in front of me and I'm questioning whether it would be worth it,
right.
I'm going to think long and hard, and you can prepare yourself for that. I mean, you can still move forward, but you just have to get in the right mindset before you do so.
Yeah, it definitely would take a lot of emotional intelligence preparation for any kind of reaction. Run for Justice said that one of her good friends reached out to her bio mom and was very disappointed. Wasn't what she was expecting. How hard would that be to be rejected? Thinking, like you said, Katie, you'd have to prepare for everything. That would be such a challenge to try to prepare for everything.
It would, but my thought is, I guess if you have grown up without that person in your life, and then you have this rejection, it's going to hurt, but you're going to be okay. It's not going to hurt as bad as being rejected by someone that's been in your life, like throughout your life. I mean, it's going to hurt, and no one likes to be rejected, especially when you may have spent emotional time, energy, all of this trying to find this person, and then it's a letdown. But you have to go in with a mindset of I may not get the acceptance that I want. And if you do get rejected, me personally, I feel like I would be hurt, but you don't really have any relationship with that person.
Yeah.
So I mean, DNA with them, but not a relationship.
When I was in my early teens, I sought out my biological father, who I never knew at all. I had a stepdad in my life, so I sought him out. I did find him. And, I remember being so excited. It's the thing I'd always wanted, I can remember thinking maybe when I go to the city, I'll see him in the mall, those kind of
Right.
like thoughts. And so anyway, I did meet him. He was an alcoholic. He was a druggie. He was a bum. And you want to talk about a letdown. And, but you know what? I think like Katie was saying, because it wasn't anything I was really losing because I never had it to begin with. It was more of a, what an idiot. I'm glad I didn't have you around, that kind of thing. The next time I saw him was at his funeral 4 years later, I believe. So,
Wow.
Yeah. But as an adult, I wouldn't. Like a kid, I totally understand that. As an adult, my life is good. I love the people in it. I just wouldn't be trying to find any other relatives. Some of mine are enough.
Agreed.
So when I was a teenager, I really wanted to find my biological dad too. Of course, I mean, back in those days, we didn't have like 23andMe and stuff like that. And, my mother didn't know where he was. All I had was a name. And so then, you get older and Facebook comes along. So I try to look for him, but I mean, I could never find him. I ended up actually meeting a couple of my siblings. I met them like one time and then lost track of them, unfortunately. But apparently, like, that's actually how I knew I had so many siblings, because they were like, oh yeah, no, we've met this guy, and like, he's got kids everywhere, and
he's a man whore.
Yeah, totally. And like, he's not taking care of any of them. He doesn't care to know any of them. He doesn't, try to have a relationship with anybody. And so I was glad that I learned that, because it's like, okay, well, then I know that if I had gone looking for him, it would have just been a big letdown. And so after that, I just never even tried.
Was he just a sperm donor? Is that
totally? Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, him and my mom were actually, they were engaged.
Oh, man.
And then he got her pregnant and left. And apparently that was just kind of like what he did.
Was his MO.
Yeah. Rolls up and then be like, I'm out.
Just the tip and check out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man. So the sperm donor thing, I find that an interesting one, because I had listened to this podcast, and it was a guy that's based out of New York. He's a writer, and he had found out, he started doing genealogy, found out that he's Jewish, and I can't, Ashkenazi, or I'm saying that wrong. I sure am. But I think it's Ashkenazi Jewish, which is actually a race, not just a religion. I didn't know that some of the Jewish names that are out there, the differentiators, are actually races in that for that part. I'm not even saying it correctly, so I don't even know enough about it anyway. But he was always like the blonde, Irish-looking Jewish kid growing up, and everybody's all darker skin, darker hair, and they're like, "You're weird looking." And he's like, "I guess it's just one of those mutations." Like, he didn't know until later on when he started doing genealogy and he took a test. He's like, "Oh, my dad is not my dad." And as it would turn out, back in the, I want to say it was the 70s and 80s, sperm banks were a huge thing for families who were not successful getting pregnant on their own. And so what they would do is there was a specific name for it, like mixture or mixing or whatever, but they would take dad's sperm, mix it with a sperm donor, and then impregnate mom. And the doctor sold this idea saying 50-50 chance it's going to be his kid. Like, the other sperm donor makes the dad's sperm swim faster and better. Like, it's a competition. I'm like, you guys bought that? Like, oh my God. Like, I don't think that's a thing, but whatever. And so it's a really great podcast. I'll have to look it up to see what it is. But anyway, so this guy figures out that his dad is not his dad. He's the product of a sperm donor, a sperm bank. So he goes on the hunt. And he was challenged a couple times by people saying, "Why would you do that? He donated his sperm anonymously on purpose. You're probably not the only kid. He was trying to do somebody a favor. Don't go after this person. Leave that man alone. He is not your father. Your dad's your father." And this guy's like, "No, I get it, but I still want to know." Like, and this guy went so far as to wait. He found out because he's half Irish. He went to Ireland, and so, he tracked his heritage down and went to the place where his Irish family was, and actually met some long distance relatives. And unfortunately, by the time he found his dad, his bio dad, the sperm donor, he had passed. He just missed him by like a year or something like that. So, like in those situations where it's anonymous donorship, does that change the dynamic for searching out somebody if you know you're a sperm donor kid?
Well, that's a funny segue into, well, I was getting ready to say.
I never thought sperm donorship would be a great segue. But
I was seriously thinking about harvesting my eggs for.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So this was years back, and I have a friend that is a fertility doctor, and she, and I had conversations with my husband, like, are you really okay with this? And there's a lot you have to go through to have that done. And in the end, I decided not to. And I can't say whether I wish I would have done it or not. But all of these thoughts crossed my mind, when I was thinking about doing it. Because personally, I'm like, I've been blessed with kids. I have been blessed to have kids and haven't had any issues having them. And then it does break my heart I've had friends and relatives that have had issues, having their own baby. And so that's what really I wanted. I'm like, what a gift, right? Like, what a gift you can give someone. So
you could donate your eggs to another family?
Yeah, not at this point. I mean, there is an age limit.
The eggs are old and crusty now.
They're a little dysfunctional at this point. They're missing some cells in there.
But
crusty is a good way to put it.
Okay, so Katie, I am the complete opposite. My eggs are mine, and if they produce a child, I want that kid. I don't know if I would feel so bad, I think, if I donated an egg and that kid comes walking up my front door and then looks like one of my kids. Like, I would be so emotionally
reproducing your eggs. Like, just keep on having babies.
I can't. The factory was raised.
Well, you know what I mean.
The factory's gone.
And I agree. I feel like that's gonna maybe possibly cause some type of issue, but at the time, it was just like, it's where my heart was, and I just really feel terrible for all of those friends and family members that I have that cannot have a baby, and I'm lucky enough to be able to do it, and I wanted to go, and at the time, I think it was nearing the age, I started having more conversations with my friend and my husband, and, ultimately I decided against it. But I don't know. It's an interesting topic, and God bless those women that do it.
Yes, that's amazing to me. I could be a surrogate if I could be pregnant and could. If as much as I hate the freaking process, I couldn't use my eggs, but if somebody else needed a uterus, they need the womb, they need the home, the storage unit.
Yeah,
that one I could. Nope. She's like, hell.
Oh, I could totally do it too. Like,
I hated pregnancy.
I did too. I freaking hate pregnancy. The only good thing was the kid.
Yeah,
that was it. And it took a lot to get them out. Damn, the first one damn near killed me, for crying out loud. But I did it 2 more times. But I couldn't donate my eggs, but I will allow you to I'll allow you to rent my uterus out for 10 months. Like, we can do that. That's cool. I don't have it anymore, but if I had it.
You're putting it out there, Tara. You're
It's not available. I no longer own it. It's in somebody else's possession. But I don't have it anymore before I get
gotta go dig it out of the trash right now.
Just dust it off. It's fine. No big deal. little Lysol.
Spray it with the water hose. It's fine.
All I'm saying, that was the best surgery I ever freaking had, because me and my monthlies divorced. I divorced my uterus. I'm very happy about that divorce, along with my other ones.
Yes. Fabulous surgery.
Carrie is so used to me and my verbal shenanigans. She's like, "Oh my God, I just love you because you're stupid funny. That's it. I need to mute this CB slinger." So it's yeah, I can donate the eggs, but I could the uterus would be fine. But now I do know somebody locally that her and her boyfriend at the time, this has been several years ago, got pregnant, and it may or may not matter, but they both had boys that they were raising, and this was their first daughter that they were pregnant with. So I think that for me would be important. It'd be important either way, but I find that to be an interesting angle. And they gave her up for adoption, and she's close. Like, she's within a few minutes. She was adopted to a family very, very close. And there's been some situations, and all the story used to be, she used to broadcast this stuff on Facebook all the time. So up until about 10 years ago, we were getting updates constantly. First, she was a real big advocate for adoption, and then she changed it because of whatever the dynamics were between her and the adoptive family. She can only see the child once a year. So she tried to maintain some sort of contact. And then when the child turns 18, she'll be allowed to have a full relationship with her. So that to me was interesting, because she's now no longer an advocate. The last posts I saw from this particular person, she was no longer advocating for adoption. She was saying how people were being conned into adoption to a certain degree, which really upset some other families that had kids that they adopted because they struggled to have children. And that happened to be one family in particular got upset because the kid that they adopted, the boy's from a very, very bad situation, very bad drugs, alcohol abuse. And the kid was taken by CPS. Parents lost their rights up for adoption. This family finally got the child they were looking for. And so there was a big to-do on Facebook for a while about for or against adoption, because this woman was gunning against it and telling people to stop supporting it. So that's kind of another thing, is if you've got that relationship. And I know a few women who have maintained their relationships with the kids they adopted out. Is that any easier, do you think, if you give a kid up?
Here's the only story I have. So my aunt, who has 4 children, and 3 of them are adopted. One of her adopted children from Guatemala, her and her boyfriend had a baby at like 16 years old. And I think that they pretty much were, I mean, they wanted to keep it, but in the end, I think they were pretty much told that we need to give this baby up for adoption. And they did find a family, and it may have been within their church. I think it was a family that they knew of. I'm on the fence about open and closed adoption, and this is an open adoption. And so my cousin does post picture, like she gets to see her daughter. They go to birthday parties or Christmases and certain events. I'm sure it's all kind of, I wouldn't say written out. There's some type of understanding as far as communication and visits and everything. And I don't know what that is, but that would be really tough, I would think. Well, number one, confusing a little bit for the child, but and maybe a little tough for the mom that adopted.
It may be. I guess it depends, because kids are usually the most resilient of humans. So if they're used to it, like Macy's been used to going back, and she nor my younger boy have any memories of me and their fathers together. So all she's ever known, and all Aaron has ever known, is going back and forth. They don't know anything else. Austin has only a couple memories, but all my kids are used to going back and forth. They're not accustomed to not going back and forth. So I think the kids probably do better than the adults do, maybe.
Well, like at some point they're going to wonder who are you and who are you? Like, this is my mom and dad, but this other mom is coming in, like that's going to create conversations that need to be had, probably. I don't know how. That's the first situation that I've had personally in my life, and I'm glad, and I everything's good for them now. This little girl, I mean, she's probably like 4 now, so she's not old by any means. So.
And I think that almost works better if you just raised with it.
Yeah, I do think it's better if you're right, but I just think that, I mean, what would you say? I mean, there's got to be questions that come up.
I would think so.
I would imagine so.
Well,
my brother adopted his daughter when she was a baby, and her mother still lived in the same town. So her mom and her grandmother even would come to like her birthday parties when we'd have them at the park, things like that. But she was never told that was mom, and mom just acted like another friend. Now the grandma, I do believe she was told that was grandma. So I don't know how that was going to work out down the road. She's 12 now, and but yeah, and her mom always, it wasn't like she'd come visit her at the house, or she would take her for a weekend or anything like that. It was just like birthday parties and things like that. So, and she seemed fine with that.
So is that, and I've heard of this happening before too, where maybe a big sister had a baby very young, and grandma raised baby as daughter, and then they find out later on sister's actually mom, right? That seems to be more common than not. We do have this particular story in my family situation because when it comes to family dynamics, I think I'm the queen of what the fuck, quite honestly. Ask anyone. It's Robin can attest. So my second ex-husband, his daughter that he brought into the marriage, my stepdaughter, was a mixed race. Now, okay, cool. First time I saw her, I asked he was my soon-to-be husband at the time. I was like, hey, so yeah, cool. Your first wife was black. And he's like, no. You kind of sit there and awkwardly, remember this, Amber? I'm like, you just sit there and awkwardly wait, like,
Yeah.
what's the rest of the story?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I had to get him drunk for him to confess that he was probably not the bio dad. And his daughter was born prior to the marriage. And she's beautiful mocha skin. Like, she's got gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous skin. And so, but she was a mixed baby, and he took her. He's on the birth certificate. That's the only daughter that, it's the only dad she's ever known up until, oh, Kitty dropped off. And I think Kitty, hold on a second. Okay. Kitty dropped off for the night. So they weren't going to tell her. Nobody had any plans of telling her at any point in time, keeping in mind everybody on mom's side of the family was Caucasian. Everybody on dad's side of the family was Caucasian. There was no, like, the algebra problem is not algebra. Yeah. We had to solve for
not like olive skin with dark hair or anything like that. Like, these were white people.
Yeah, wow. The sunlight.
Well laid out plan.
No, it wasn't, because at a young age, she was telling people she was a little black girl. That's what she kind of figured out. She kind of mathed it on her own, but she didn't realize that was a disconnect. She was like 4 or 5 when she started saying that. And so they were never going to tell her. When I talked to her mother about it, her mom's like, yeah, I know who the dad is, but I'm never telling her, and I'm never going to say it, and I'm never going to have that conversation. And her dad was like, I'm not having that conversation with her. That is not my swim lane. I'm like, and yet it's both your guys' swim lanes, madam and sir. Mm-hmm. Both of you guys are and if she comes to me, I'll throw both y'all asses under the bus.
Well, and that's not, in that situation would be real difficult.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And he did, her father did tell her, and based on what he told me, the worst way possible. She was 8 years old when she found out. It was not sensitive. It was not well thought out. In the meantime, she has, I think she's, I want to say she's met her bio dad. She's a legal adult now, but I want to say she's met him and she's figured out she's got some siblings from him. I don't know anything about the relationship, but the point of it was, the intent was, yeah, Robin, meeting her and hearing that story. Yes, Robin, exactly. Robin was part of that story too. She heard it just like Amber did. They saw it in real time. But the problem I had with the whole thing is, you have to be honest with her. Just be honest. It doesn't matter if you had relations outside of your committed relationship or your marriage. It doesn't matter. Just be honest, because that kid did not ask for that, and they deserve to know the truth. And it doesn't matter if there's a skin color differential or not. They, in my mind, that's they're gonna find out anyway. You know, they might as well find out from the people they trust the most, or you're gonna have trust issues, in my opinion. And I've seen it happen.
Exactly. Yes.
So that's where I stand with that. It's I be honest. The families that I've seen have the most successful relationships with their children or with their family members is when they're honest from the get-go and they just ease into it. I don't know how they do it, but that's what I've been told. They just one step at a time. Just make it, it's not a big deal. You were adopted, but we love you. Were you going to say something, Carrie? You kind of buzzed in and out, and your picture changes over here.
No, I was trying to change it, but I messed it up, so I changed it.
It's like, what is happening? So it's I don't know. It's there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a lot of, good Lord. It's a lot to deal with. I've been trying to watch the chat, and I've not been doing a very good job of it. But I know that we've got somebody in the chat. Yip had said that, and I think this is incredibly brave, and I want to highlight this because this is so important. There's a reason that these boxes exist. Yep, I commend you and I admire you. And I think that decision is so incredibly noble. She says, I gave my first child up for adoption through a baby box. I was only a child myself. That's what those are for. That's exactly what those things are for. There's far too many children that are being left in places that they cannot be helped. So that is amazing. You made that very difficult decision on your own. And I know she follows up to say that that's not the comment I wanted. There's another comment she put in there. There it is. She follows up to say that it was a very difficult decision because I made the comment. It had been so incredibly hard, and it must still follow her to this day. And she said that it was a very difficult decision, and she has thought of her often. But in the day I took to make that choice, it was so clear to me. It made me a huge advocate for baby boxes, and that's what they're for. And I'm glad you spoke up. Most people would be so scared to speak up and say something. So I am glad that you did.
Yep,
that's huge. What's that, Carrie?
Yep is pretty amazing.
Yeah, she is. So, Yep, I have to ask now. Let me make sure somebody didn't ask you already, and I didn't. Yep, if I don't know how long ago it was, but would you be open to the idea of her calling you or trying to connect with you? Would that be something that you would be open to? I think that's and if you don't want to answer, don't. I don't want to put you on the spot like that, but it does go into the conversation here. If that would be something that maybe you would expect, you've dreamt about, you would like. Maybe you've wanted to go back and find her. I don't know. That's that gives me you get so much respect for somebody, and then you hear something like that and it goes to a different level, because that's what those baby boxes are for. We find too many in places where they can't get help. Oh my goodness, juxtaposition. Thank you. I'm so happy. Did you see that juxtaposition was in the chat tonight, Carrie? I haven't seen Juxt in a long time.
Actually, I just now did. I just figured out how to put it on chat.
Oh, Robin, sis, this is so true. For those of you that are not watching but listening, Robin says the older generation didn't have to be honest because they never thought it would come out. We know this as fact. My grandma did not think anyone would find out. Now, she used the information based on what I understand against her ex-husband, the father that raised her girl. She used that against my mother to put a wedge between them. That's what we understand. But she never thought it would catch her. I don't think she ever thought. I don't think she lived long enough to. No, she didn't. She died. My grandma died around 10, 12 years ago. So she didn't see the DNA stuff coming out, the 23andMe and the Ancestry.com. She didn't see that stuff. And so I'm sure that would have made her sweat bullets to know that some of those family skeletons that she had tucked away inside of a cedar chest in the closet were about to crawl their way out and manifest themselves into our lives. But, oh my goodness. See, Patrick says, I wish I had been adopted. My mom tried to kill me. And Houston, Texas CPS said I was too old, 9 years old, too independent, etc., to be adopted. I was bounced between emergency centers. Oh my gosh, Patrick.
Oh
my
poor
gosh.
kid.
Oh my goodness.
Too old? Like,
That's...
you're only 9?
Yeah, but
I'd
I don't...
take a 9-year-old.
That'd be a little easier than an infant.
Yeah.
They can make their own lunch.
As a matter of fact, like I wanted to adopt for so long, and I only wanted an older child. I wanted like a tween or a young teen, something like that, because I mean, I didn't want to go through the baby stage again, you know.
Oh,
Patrick, the older ones are harder to get placed in foster homes and to be adopted because cute little baby.
Crazy.
Oh, cute. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad. And as much as a baby would be fun, at the same time, I think an older child that was just looking to be accepted and loved would be equally fun. You wouldn't have to go through the baby stage, and you could just kind of meld into one another and figure out a groove.
But that's because we're moms of older kids.
If we were
just starting off, we probably wouldn't feel that way.
True.
Now,
if I had to,
all them years, I'll take a 16-year-old male, not a female.
Yeah, it's I think there's a great advantage to any age, really.
Yeah.
And if I had Amber like you, I always wanted to adopt, even though we have our own biological children. I always wanted to adopt.
Mm-hmm.
And I always saw my former stepdaughter as that adoptive kind of part of my life that I fulfilled. And so she was actually the hardest part of my decision to have a divorce. I didn't want to lose her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to lose either one of my girls. But we don't have the relationship that we used to, unfortunately, and that's fine. But I know if by chance I had pushed forward with adopting a child, if I actually had a child that I had adopted, and that child wanted to find out who their biological parents were, I'd be on board. I'd be protective and I'd be cautious, and I would try to set up some boundaries with that child to make sure that try to prepare them for disappointment, but to prepare myself too. What if they are, what if my luck would be Danny Warbucks, that would be the adoptive, like they were self-made millionaire. I'm like, well, that's awesome. I just gave my own demise there. But I'd like to think I would be very open to the idea of my adoptive child wanting to find out their heritage and their background, and then want to have a good relationship with those folks if it was available, I would think.
Yeah, I would too, of course.
What about you, Carrie?
Well, the selfish part of me, I think, I don't know how I'd feel about that. But
it's scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe hurtful, even though it's not hurtful. I don't know how I'd feel about that. But I would mask all of that and be all for it for the sake of the child. Absolutely. Like I think that, especially in adoption, if they're wanting to know and meet, then yeah, I'd be all for it. But secretly I might be hurting inside. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'd like to think I would be hurting. That sounds weird to say, right? I'd like to think
Right.
I would be hurting. I'd like to think I'd be a little bit prematurely jealous. Like, you better
Yeah.
not be a better mother than me because you're the bio. You have the DNA that I don't. So I think that
Yeah,
would.
but we also know that DNA doesn't mean anything when it comes to a parent.
No.
True. And I'm either going to see a text or a comment real quick on that one because yes. So in the comments, there was a question posed about, would people not want to know if you found out medical conditions you didn't know about? I can address that one from personal experience. What about you guys? That's the other angle to finding family members, is the health history.
That's really the only reason that would push me to do it, to be honest, because I mean, I have my family, right? Like I have the family I've created. I'm not looking for, yeah, hi.
That's me. I'm family.
I'm not looking for further connection out there. It's more curiosity and yeah, medical history. Like, am I gonna, what's gonna kill me and when? That's and I mean, because I have a son now too, and if I found out something from my medical history, I'd want to pass that information to him, and that's really the only reason that I have any curiosity at all.
What about you, Carrie?
I still not now. Like I said, though, I'm 50 now. In my 20s, I probably would have felt a lot differently about these things.
Right.
So I felt just like Amber just said. I have my family. They're all I need. I'm happy with it. I don't. Yeah, I don't need to go seeking other. Yeah, no, I just don't. And I feel like it would just bring a lot of drama. And I just
with our luck. Hey, no, with your luck, Carrie.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I have seen your damn luck, and it has impacted me.
Yes, it is so good. It's so good. Maybe that's why maybe that's why it's such a negative Nancy.
Hey,
God.
Carrie, I'm the queen of bad luck.
Oh, you have a
I
run for
am.
your money.
Yeah,
I will
so-
put her up. I'll put her luck up against yours, and I'll bet 9 times over, and I'll lose. That's how her luck runs. Like, it is that damn bad. So, I do have medical issues that that would have been family. We had certain information, we would have known. But when I'm asked about family history, even with my own parents, I don't know because there was a lack of honesty about some of the family, some of their health history, some of the things that they were dealing with. They didn't tell us everything. So even with the folks that I do know, I'm not able to provide my doctors with any kind of real insight. I know that every woman on my dad's side of the family has breast cancer in their senior years, every one of them. So I know that much, but that's because of my dad telling me that, and my aunt went through it. But quite honestly, the health history stuff doesn't even faze me a bit, because they had it doesn't mean I will, and I just kind of listen to my body and try to deal with what it's telling me, like the conditions that I have to deal with every day. Yeah. I don't know, that one didn't appeal to me as much. And 23andMe does the whole, here's your health history. You have freckles all over your face. I'm like, actually, I don't, but thanks. You suck. Or there was another one in there that said, you suffer from anxiety. I'm like, oh, also no, but thanks. Like, you're way off, folks. Can you, or that it told me I had brown eyes. I'm like, I don't have that either. So I have hazel, but we're good. So that I think I got turned off to the health history thing through 23andMe when I did all that, and it came off with some wonky stuff, but it's not a perfect science, right? So that one never, I don't know. I don't care about that. But if you're a millionaire out there and my name is on your family tree, you can contact me by the information scrolling at the bottom of the screen. I will gladly work with you and develop a relationship. That would be great. But
That's right.
I'm going to share it with the Shenanigans crew, though, because that's what we do in family. We share the wealth. Family is a socialism. Society is not, in my opinion. Just saying.
Agreed.
Yeah, you do.
Agreed.
She agrees because she sends me an Instagram reel today that says, "I'm just laying for my best friend to make us $1 million." I'm like, I'm working on it. Oh. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's going on in the chat. There's all kinds of stuff that's happening, but it's an active and fun chat. I didn't forget anybody, Robin. Who I forget? Somebody called Margaret for, I don't know what's happening in the chat. What can I get for a bottle of wine? A smile for me. Now send me a bottle of wine.
Yeah. I'll give you a good thank you.
She's got a good rack. If she can flash you, would that help?
Hey.
What?
No.
What? No, not anymore. Not anymore.
No. That's for my girls. That's for my girls.
That's awesome. So we a lot of things covered tonight. So, and if neither one of you've done the family tree thing, the 23andMe, or the don't forget to include me. You are included, Robin. Hello, you're an automatic, for crying out loud. We're gonna know you got a house in the bed or bedroom in the house. We're trying to. You already know. Why do you even say that? Oh my God, she got me off guard. So the 23andMe. If you did one, so you do 23andMe specifically, it builds your family tree for you, right? It's like based off of these results. These people are related to you in this potential fashion. Would you reach out to them? I knew Carrie's answer was going to be nope. Hell no. Why would I take them drama if I don't want them to bring me drama?
That is exactly it.
What about you, Amber? Would you reach out?
I'm not in it for like the money, so
yeah, they don't put dollar signs by the ones with money, so it's a hit
right.
It's your best luck guess, and since your luck is also crap, I'm suggesting don't.
Yeah, no, no.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I know I've reached out to a couple. I've had a couple reach out to me asking for names for their fathers. I was able to help my Uncle Kevin out, but my cousin, I know what part of the family she's from. I haven't nailed down who her dad is yet, but she stopped responding to me about a year ago, so I don't think she's ready. So, and I don't blame her at all. She's got a rough background, and her dad was a prisoner type person, did bad things, so she's not really interested in knowing that side of the family. And I kind of get that. It takes time to come to terms with, but I don't know. Let me go into see what's going on in the chat, because they have been so active and so much fun. And I don't know who called. Sorry, Terry, he called me first. I don't know who called who first. Oh, what's wrong with freckles? I'm Irish. I'm Irish too, and I had freckles growing up. I just don't have them today. That's why I was like, 23andMe sucks. I do not have freckles, sirs and madams, at all. They were gone. They left, thankfully. But I don't look good in freckles either, so that's why I don't want them. But I am Irish, strongly Irish.
So what company would you recommend if somebody was going to get started?
Oh, Robin, you need to chime in on this one. Robin and I have done both. So, and yeah, Run for Justice. It's actually, I'm trying to talk Carrie into a whole business plan thingy where we do that too, on top of the true crime and everything else. I want to call it either Moody and Parker Enterprises or Parker and Moody Enterprises. I think one of those two sounds badass. I don't know. And professional, because we're both clearly not. Anyway. So if I had to choose, so they offer different things. If you are looking to build your family tree because you have information, you're truly researching and getting into like the census and birth certificates, death certificates, old yearbook photos, those kind of things, because all of those can be uploaded by anybody into Ancestry.com, and they make them available. Ancestry is great for the research part of it. If you're just trying to figure out, am I like a Caucasian mutt, European mutt? Like
I already know that answer. I mean,
right? Oh, you're
Yep.
European as hell, for
Yeah.
starters.
yeah.
There's no doubt. But if you're just looking to figure out like the general makeup, DNA makeup, where you come from in the world, 23andMe is pretty good. Now, I did both because I wanted to compare the results. I wanted to see how their algorithms worked. And they were pretty close. I think 23andMe says I'm more Irish and Ancestry says I'm more Scottish, but that's all in the same general area of the world. And then and you can do some real deep dive stuff on the 23andMe. Like if you have any interest in the Viking history, most of us are from Vikings, and you can see what part, which area of the Viking people you're from. There's some very interesting things on there. So it just depends what you're looking for. But in your case, if you're really not looking to develop the family tree, just do 23andMe. But wait till it's on sale. It always goes on sale. Every time there's a damn holiday, it's on sale. And then you can always keep stuff private too. That's the other thing, is you can do these things and then they're private so that even if you are connected to folks, they will not know. And you won't know either. You can be completely private and just see what your general makeup is. And if you want to open it to take a peek, you can open it and then shut it back down to private again. And you can do that on both sides.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and neither one works with law enforcement, so they do not provide law enforcement with your information when they want to go searching for a bad person. So if you're out there committing murders, you're safe in those two areas. But if you go with the other places that are non-brand name-ish, they do sell shit, so be careful. They will out you as a serial killer. It has happened on multiple true crime podcasts. I know because I listen to them. I'm pretty sure Carrie has too. It is out there. Once I figure out how to do genome mapping, Carrie, we're in a whole other business of true crime. I'm just saying. Like, we can start charging the big damn bucks towards law enforcement. The text with law enforcement I had today, he'll be calling us up, be like, Tara and Carrie, we need your help. We need some genome mapping. Be like, I'm on it. I got it.
You're wild.
Do what?
I said, you're wild.
That's why you keep me around. I keep you on your toes. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it makes a difference between wearing a kilt or pants. Yes, it does, chopped liver. Yes, it does. But yeah, I know that we had always heard that we were Irish, and that the DNA test did prove it. And I was able to backtrack, and all of the family rumors, like the family lore, those stories that have been passed on generation by generation. And in this particular case, these stories have been passed on from the 1600s, before the Bloods came over to the U.S. And so you're always like, when somebody's like, Captain Blood it's a Hollywood type of character, but it was based off of Colonel Blood, who was a self-proclaimed pirate, Irish pirate. And so I'd always heard about that story, and I was always curious if it was real or not, because it just came down through the family generation after generation after, literally for, these 400 years, this story about Colonel Blood had been passed down, and it's actually true. I was able to prove it, and we didn't actually come from, he had a brother, his brother was born out in sea under the Neptune moon or Neptune sky or whatever. So his name is Neptune, and his brother is Thomas. Like, I don't know what kind of hippie things they had going on back in the 1600s, but that's what happened. There's Neptune and Thomas, right? So Neptune ended up being like a very revered type of person, very highly respected. And Thomas was out there stealing the crown jewels from the queen, from the king's castle in England. Is the only person to steal the crown jewels from the castle, and then almost got out, got caught, and then conned the king. I have theories on how he conned the king, because he should have been killed for stealing the crown jewels. In fact, he damaged the crown itself. He flattened the crown with a hammer so he could fit it into his fit it under his shirt or under his coat pocket or whatever it was, so he could fit it under his clothing. And he got caught, and then whatever he did to the king, I use those words in that fashion on purpose, the king is like, we're friends now. And he worked for the king for a while. But that story was actually
crazy.
True. It is. Yeah.
That's wild.
It is. And that's yeah. So there's some fun things to the genealogy side that you can get into. You can, and kind of explore. And that's how I found out there was a book written on the Bloods, and every single blood in the US is related. There's like 50 or 60,000 of them. and they're all related because of two brothers out of, I think, 4 or 6 came to the U.S. and they took be fruitful and multiply to a whole other meaning. So that's one of the cool things about it. So I like doing that kind of stuff. And there's my I'm gonna highlight that. That's very sweet. That's my uncle. He says, very grateful for you, Tara, for helping me solve the mystery of who my father is. Never knew I had such an awesome niece. He's gonna make me cry.
Aw,
That's so sweet.
so sweet.
You know how that was such a surreal moment, knowing that when we connected, and I had the key like that. It sounds weird to say out loud, because to me, I'm like, I just had a name, but for him, it was everything he'd been looking for that particular project, and I had it. And I was so happy to be able to be like, to me, I'm like, oh yeah, here's his name, no big deal. And he's like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I was like, oh, this is okay. Like, I don't value things in the moment. Ask Carrie and Amber. I'm like, I'm a little bit critical and skeptical. And then after the fact, I'm like, oh, that was really cool. And Carrie's like, oh my God, you couldn't think this was cool in the moment. You're a pain. And Amber's had to deal with that for me too. But that gets me every time, knowing that that's doing that for him, and then helping. CB outed himself earlier. CB was the one I was doing the side work for. I found the person he was looking for. And it was I'm glad it worked out well, because I'm like, this could, if she sues us, this could be bad. But oh my goodness, is there anything else to cover or upset people with?
There's always something to upset people with.
That's what this channel's all about. We're going to get upset together. We're going to get upset together. That's how this works. My mom's we have family in the chat, family upon family in the chat. Narcissist hunters related to juxtaposition. They're over there fighting over who's got blue eyes. King of Spades is in there doing something with their blue eyes. There's all kind. I'm missing out in the chat. Holy crow!
Ooh,
we have
everyone with blue eyes is related.
I'm a sucker for blue eyes too. It's bad.
Are you saying like my husband has blue eyes? Am I fucking my cousin?
Probably are.
Crazy.
Probably are.
Maybe I should have done the whole.
I don't want that phone call, so don't. I don't need that. Tara, I just did a DNA test. It turns out Eric and I are first cousins. No, he's your brother. You know what? That's even worse.
Yeah, you'd be the first.
But that would be your luck. Yeah, I know. But yeah, Robin, what's the name of that? It's that she's got one blue eye and one green eye, and they're
that's so cool.
It's crap. My son knows this. He tells me all the time. It's something chromatic, monochrome. Oh, I can't remember. Robin, what's the name of that? Yeah, and her eyes are very clearly different colors.
Spirit animals. Oh, that's cool.
Heterochromatic. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Run for Justice. Somebody's doing all kinds of like PR and marketing.
Well, shout out. I love it.
That's awesome.
I think we found an ambassador.
Oh, yes. She got her wrench early on. I need to get a few more wrenches. Not that we have to have it, but it's cool to see the wrenches. But spelling. That's funny. Now we're correcting the spelling. Heterochromia. It works. She's got different colored eyes. Mine are boring in the same color, but they look great in lashes. I'm blinking if you can't tell. Amber too. Oh my goodness. Well, I don't have much else on the subject. Do you guys want to add anything else, or does the chat want to add anything crazy? Those wrenches scare me now. Is anything more to add? We're all covered it all because we're awesome like that?
I don't think so. But you know what? I think what I'd like to add, though, is anybody that's listening, you see our Gmail and phone number running across the screen there. So if you have any really cool stories about what you found in your genealogy, or any cool stories about what happened whenever you met up with a family member that you found through Ancestry or 23andMe, whatever, shoot it over to us, because then maybe we could share it next time we're on the subject.
Yep. And I'll put it on the Facebook page too, and I don't have to put anybody out there, but
we can totally do it like anonymously. So
yes,
yeah, if you don't want to share who you are, that's cool. We can do
Yes.
that. Just let us know.
And the chat has been awesome. We have had zero issues to even with the difficult subjects we've been talking about. This goes to show that you can have these tough conversations, and you can step out. You can come back in, and it's okay. It's a really great way to work together and learn off of one another. So I'm so happy you guys were here tonight. I'm hoping this video does better than last week's video, because I know last week's video was a little morbid. It's probably a little heavy coming out the gate on week 2, but that's the shenanigans of it all. We're going to do some heavy subjects. I think next week we have to figure out the day, because the Shenanigans crew wants to be a part of this conversation. We're going to talk about custody issues, parenting hell, and everybody in the Shenanigans crew.
I need to be in that one.
Yes, I know, but you said you were not. So Thursdays don't work for the Shenanigans crew, and Tuesday doesn't work well for Amber next week. But I need to talk her into dropping whatever Tuesday is and coming live.
I can't, but I'm available any other night next week. So
I'll try to work on the girls for next Thursday then, because the talking about co-parenting and dual parenting, or dual, D-U-A-L or D-U-E-L, because I see these things very, very differently. Katie disagrees with me on that, so I think that'd be a really great debate. And I see her point. She's got a great point. But I think all of us have some sort of parenting hell experience to share. And I think that will be quite the chat for everybody. So I hope you will join us next week. We are probably looking at Thursday again. And if that seems to be a really great time, except for the Shenanigans crew, they're hit and miss, but that's okay. We'll just keep, if we don't hit all the markers for the parenting chat one night, we can do it on another. We can always come back and revisit any conversation. But thank you, Carrie and Amber, for being here tonight, even though they were late. That's okay. I don't mind late. Late's good. Fast should be late. It's all good. And thank you to everybody in the chat for being here. And if you've liked and subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. The subscribers have jumped up enormously. There's up to 232. And I tell you what, I was happy with 8 a month ago. I was like, woohoo, 8. Yeah. All my friends subscribed. We're cool. And now I'm like, do I know 232 people? I know I do, but do I know all of those 232 people? So thank you so much.
It'll grow fast. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Well, if it wasn't for you,
I feel like they're Carrie's people, though. So
they are Carrie's people. I stole them. She brought them over here, but they get the conversation, and they'll run their mouths to people. They'll bully other people into coming over. It'll be great. But I appreciate you guys so much. So we'll try this again next week. Carrie and I we think we've got a live on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. I'm going to put that out there and hold you to it. So Carrie Moody True Crime is going to be Wednesday at 7. More than likely 7. We typically try to go at 7. And we're going to have the 3rd installment of the refresher series on the Kansas Moms case. It looks like we're getting some requests to extend that series because the information is so much. So we will look at that. And then we'll be back on Thursday, probably with Shenanigans and parenting hell and what you've been through. Sounds so you guys have a great night, and we will see you next week.
Bye. Bye, Amber.
Bye. Bye, Carrie.